What tools should a noob use when making their first game? In this video, I'll walk you through the various tools and software I use to make my game. They're all fairly popular, easy to find, and best of all, you can use each one of them for free. When it comes to game engines, I actually began making my game in Unity before switching to Godot. Now this isn't a Unity versus Godot video, use whatever engine you find works for you. But after about 10 hours on Unity, I was struggling. It just wasn't clicking with me, so I switched over to Godot, and within just a couple hours I was feeling much better. I was struggling less with the layout and interface, and the node and scene structure just intuitively made sense to me. Same goes for GD script versus C#. It all just seemed to work better for me. But whether you use Unity, Godot, GameMaker, or Unreal Engine, they all have their pros and cons, so just try them out and use the one you're most comfortable with. For my game's dialogue, I downloaded Nathan Hode's Dialogue Manager plugin for Godot. It's got a clean text-based syntax, and again, it's designed to work directly with the engine, which is awesome. You've already seen me use it in other videos, but sprite is a big part of my game's development. I paid $20 for the download, it's a one-time fee, but I know there are ways to get it for free if you're willing to do a few extra steps, so if you're on a budget, that's worth looking into. But sprite is great, it's really easy to use, and for someone like me who's using commercially available assets, I'm becoming more and more confident in customizing and altering them slightly to give them a unique look for my game. For sound, I use Audacity. Again, very easy to use. It allows me to tweak sound effects, alter them, and easily export the new file into my game. I also use it to record this dialogue. Then there's Anthropic's Claude. Now let me spend a moment on this. I made the conscious decision to not use AI for art assets or music because I like to support great creators like Pen USB Mike, Carl Casey over at White Bat Audio, and others like that. But for someone like me, having an assistant like Claude is honestly the difference between being able to make this game and not making it. I'm not talking about giving Claude a prompt and saying, hey, make me a sick action RPG, go. But it is a game changer when it comes to troubleshooting, asking questions when you're stuck, and helping you debug issues with your code. I fly the Boeing 777, and we have an excellent diagnostic system and electronic checklists. If something goes wrong, it alerts us immediately to the nature of the malfunction and the appropriate steps to try and resolve it. But that's not enough. We spend a ton of time studying systems and how they work and what's under the hood. So that when you're troubleshooting, you're not just following steps like a trained monkey. You understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how those systems work. And sometimes you reach the end of the checklist and you still have a problem. And you need to understand what's going on to try and fix it. It's the exact same thing here. I do my very best to learn the functions of Godot and GD script, and I always try to code things myself first. But if I run into a wall, I have no problem asking Claude for help. And you shouldn't either. If using these tools is the difference between you being able to make a game and not being able to make a game, use them. I have a vested selfish interest in having as many people as possible out there making their own games. You know why? Because you might make the next Hollow Knight. And if you do, that means I get to play it. So use the tools you need to, and don't let anybody tell you any different. If you choose to use Claude Pro, there's a project function which I find useful to keep my game reference docs and session logs, which keeps track of everything I've done. Finally, you don't need these to make a game, but I wanted to cover the few programs I use to make these sweet high production YouTube videos. There's OBS Studio, a fairly easy to use download that lets you capture what's happening on your screen. Then I load everything into DaVinci Resolve. The free version has pretty much all the capabilities you need to make basic YouTube videos. If you want to make more complex videos, then you need to upgrade to the paid version. But honestly, the free version has everything you need. And then I use the free parts of Canva to make thumbnails. So there you have it. That's pretty much everything I use. And like I said, every single one of these tools is free. Try them out, see which ones you like, and if you don't like them, switch to something else. The most important thing is finding what works for you. See you next time.